Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And on today's episode of WTF News,
Yes.
two Calgary men, Canada, two Calgary men are charged for a conversation on a train en route to the 1 million March for Children.
Yes.
But we don't know what was actually said.
They got charged for talking about something someone didn't like. I'm not making this up, but when people want to know what it is they talked about, they won't tell you.
No.
Just that somebody was uncomfortable, and that violates the law on the train.
Yeah, so we're gonna talk about this because this is kind of scary, right? I mean, Canada, there's
It's like
some
thought crime.
there, but it literally is like, oh, you talked about something. I mean, I get if it's like a threat, or I get if
Like, I thought you were talking about blowing up a school or
Right,
going after kids.
something
Or
like
going
that.
to go to the March for Children to like grab kids or something, you know?
Right.
That's different, but they're not saying what it is.
Did they misgender someone? Did they not like The Last Jedi? I mean, we
They
don't.
talk about politics and how he didn't like the current far leftist something, and that's probably what happened.
They probably supported the truckers or something. Who knows? Who knows? But that was enough to get you charged in Calgary. And there are some Canadian folks who were like, Calgary, really? Like Toronto? Yeah, we could see that, but Calgary. So we're going to talk about this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. You get a woohoo if you do.
Woohoo!
Not many woohoos in Canada. Do you get arrested if you woohoo in Canada?
Well, if you do on a bus and someone's offended, you might. This is I cannot make this up. I mean, if they had a good reason, okay, but they will not tell you what was discussed to decide if that was a good reason or not.
Didn't this happen in some European countries?
Yeah,
about 80 years
if you
ago?
misgendered someone. No, but I'm saying recently though, now you can get arrested if you misgender someone apparently and things like that in some countries.
Oh my God. So they haven't released the details yet. This has come from the Western Standard. Two men are charged under a Calgary transit bylaw for allegedly making an unknown passenger uncomfortable with the conversation. Doesn't mean there was a threat. Doesn't mean anybody was misgendered, whatever. I didn't like what you said. Arrest them.
Right, that's basically what it sounds like. And they said they were on a train that was mostly empty.
Mostly empty. The men allegedly interfered with the comfort of an unknown transit user on their way to the 1 million March for Children protest. They're scheduled to appear in court in November, represented by the Democracy Fund, a Canadian civil liberties nonprofit. So they haven't released details yet. They
won't.
Yeah, TDF defends the rights of transit users against the anti-free speech transit bylaw. The organization wrote in their news release, pointing out the city of Calgary has yet to disclose details of impugned communications. What?
According to the city's bylaw, passengers must not interfere with the comfort, convenience, or quiet use and enjoyment of the transit system of any reasonable person. I think they have them right there. I mean, depending on what it was talking about. If it was something that was like really, really, really like scary, like they were going to shoot up something or like that, okay, yeah, then I can understand it. But if they're just talking about how they don't like Trudeau or something, you know, I would say that person is not a reasonable person.
The two individuals report having had a private conversation on the C train with a like-minded passenger, probably a Nazi. But I think they rounded up people who had conversations that they didn't like too.
Yeah, I'm sure.
While traveling to the march in a nearly empty train car. So like you would have had to have gone out. It was a private conversation. And you're like, okay, these three guys are having this conversation that car. I didn't like what they had to say. And I felt like I had to.
I was eavesdropping on their conversation.
I was eavesdropping. Maybe they knew this other person was eavesdropping.
I don't know. But they said it appears a conversation was overheard and reported, and the men were detained when they got off the train. So they reported it while they were on the train. So when they got off, they were detained. One was handcuffed.
What the hell?
And they were issued tickets and a summons to court. So technically, if I was on a train and someone said something I didn't like, I could just call and report them and get them arrested or get them, ticketed and to, a hearing.
Oh, God. Okay. So here's what probably the issue was. They said they're going to the 1 million March for Children, right? They said each side took a strong stance. They said people supporting the march described it as a protest of the indoctrination and sexualization of children in schools, while detractors call it hateful. So we're going back to identity politics and probably gender identity, and they probably made some comments about kids being indoctrinated into certain schools
And
of
it made
thought.
that person uncomfortable.
And that person probably was, yes.
So it's thought crime.
It was thought crime. It was thought crime. Even though they were in a private car by themselves having a conversation,
Well, they were in a public car, but I mean.
But it was nearly empty.
Empty and they're by themselves.
Right.
What determines what you're allowed to say or not? This is again like, like Twitter and Facebook, where if you didn't like something and you didn't, and somebody, you said, I don't like this, I think it's dumb. And then somebody's personally offended by it. They were going to try to get you, and it was working for a long time, booted off of Twitter, put in Facebook, timeout, because they were like, because they're mad because you have the wrong opinion. You shared a Christian image. Oh my God, that's hate speech.
Yeah. So
I can't.
Yeah, it's basically social media everywhere. It's like
China. It's their social credit score.
Well, they said, okay, so this is a subreddit, the Canada sub. This person said, so you can smoke crack and swing an axe around, no problem, but talk shit and you get arrested.
Apparently.
Don't speak ill of the state. They're calling it China. It's crazy. They were not arrested. They were issued a ticket. Cuffed.
Well, the one person was cuffed. One was detained, but they were still issued a ticket, and they had to go to court after they handcuffed them when they got off the train because somebody didn't like what they said on a train in their own private conversation that wasn't directed at them.
Oh my God. What kind of dystopian crap is this? Canada's rank toward being more like China rose from a 6 to a 7 out of a perfect 10. Congrats, Calgary. Hey, honestly, I'm looking at some of the news coming out of Canada, and yeah, it doesn't surprise me at all. It's basically like Portland everywhere.
You know what's funny though to me? These same people, when back like in the 80s, this kind of stuff would happen, but it would be the puritanical far right. You basically become the far right you say you hate. Except the far right now are like the ones that are like, down with the man and, let's protest.
When did that happen?
I don't know.
I'm trying to figure out when this switcheroo happened, that the liberals are the ones that are calling for all kinds of ridiculous rules.
Censorship. And they said authoritarian cry bullies.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the conservatives are the ones who wanted to, maintain the status quo by any means. Historically, rock and roll music is bad. Dungeons and Dragons is bad. You can't have certain
You can't play
TV
video games
shows.
because and Elmo's spying on your children.
Elmo's, yeah. Well, turned out, the puppeteer got in trouble with.
Well, I meant the toy. But
Oh, yeah, Elmo. Okay.
I meant like toys were spying on your kids. Stuff like that. Furbies were swearing at you in other languages, that kind of stuff.
So all this ridiculous stuff we used to make fun of right-wingers for. These like
the far left is now
the far left is
what we
doing
mock.
it.
Yes.
That's what we're talking about. Like, we keep telling people, like, we haven't changed. We're the same people we've always been. The world's gone batshit crazy. Like, it's just everything is upside down. Everything is upside down. It used to be, I thought being a liberal meant you were for liberty, you're for freedom, you're for people just, you do you, boo, as long as you're not hurting anybody else.
Not now.
Nobody else has a right to tell you what you can't do, again, as long as you're not hurting anybody else.
I think this is ideologically subverted by authoritarian cry bullies. Yes, I'm tired of the authoritarian cry bullies. I'm so fucking over it. It's like, I can't even wrap my head around. They're like, you're just horrible. You're far right. I'm like, no, like you said, we were liberal. We've always been where we always have been. We have never moved.
This person, what a pussyfied world we live in. I'm telling the police on you. I heard that. That's what it is. It's like going and getting the teacher. Teacher.
Yeah. I heard them say, even a teacher, kids would do that to me. And I'd be like, well, I didn't hear it unless there was witnesses and it was something really, really egregious. I'm like, well, you know what? I didn't hear it. And if it, it wasn't that big a deal. And I'd have a big thing. I'd get up in class and I'd be like, look, guys, we can't say mean things about other kids in the class. That's not nice and things like that. But you couldn't just go punish somebody because the kids said they said it without any evidence.
You know what my teachers told us? Shut the fuck up.
And fix it among yourselves.
Fix it. You
That's
guys.
What parents just say, go deal with it yourselves.
You go have a fight. I'm going to turn. Literally, my shop teacher did this. There's this kid. I was getting into it with this kid. I freaking hated this kid. And he's like, did he call you names first? I'm like, yeah. He's like, oh, okay. Well, I got in a fight with him. He's like, I'm not gonna report it because he had it coming. Basically.
But you also,
so they go like turn around.
You also knew that you wouldn't have done that. I mean, you were.
Yeah, I mean, I can throw down, or I could throw down.
No, but I mean, like, he also knew like the other kid said something first because because
that kid was an asshole.
You weren't the type to just do it for no reason.
The kid was, I forget what he was saying, but I remember we're waiting for the bus. And his name was Rocky, ironically, and I kicked his ass. But yeah, this kid was like saying shit about me. So I tackled him, And, I slapped him around a little bit. And then, of course, here comes the teacher. And it was my shop teacher. And he was the guy who was like watching the buses or whatever. And he was like, oh, yeah. So, no, don't do that, kids. That's so bad. Oh, I'm going to have to tell the principal. Blah, blah, blah. And then he pulled me aside. He's like, hey, he called you names first, didn't he? I'm like, yeah. He said, okay. I'm not going to report it. Just, I'm good. That kid's getting detention, but.
Yeah, but it's because they knew you wouldn't do that, though. That's the difference. Yeah. But like, yeah, it's just a thought crime. They said we're at a point with zero conversation in public due to risk of being detained and charged because a random anonymous person didn't like the conversation.
Yeah. I mean, look at, again, regardless of where you stand on the situation with the truckers, that was pretty ridiculous. That was ridiculous. And this is ridiculous. I mean, this person right here, I thought this is what I thought too. I thought it was going to be an overblown headline, and the guys actually got charged with something like uttering threats. But man, I was wrong. If anything, it's worse than the headline. Thankfully, they're being well represented, and the lawyers are going to have an absolute field day between the anonymity of the complaint, the lack of disclosure from the city, the behavior of the police, and the general standard of conduct expected on that train. This is going to be a cakewalk for these lawyers. Is it? I wouldn't be surprised if the accused end up launching a civil suit after their criminal proceedings. That's a nice thought, but is it going to be a slam dunk? Or are they going to be like, no, we need to keep people safe, so you just got to watch your damn mouth because it makes people feel bad. We can't have anybody feel bad in the world, even though I'm just like, there are a lot of things, really bad things going on in the world today right now. But sure, let's arrest people.
No, they
because their feelings are hurt.
And charge them.
Cuff them and charge them.
They didn't get arrested. They have to appear in court because you said something somebody on the train didn't like, and it made them feel icky.
It made them feel very, very icky. Not in a good way either.
People make me feel icky every day. I don't get to go get them charged. There's usually a paper trail. So I'm like, anyway.
Yeah, Canadians not having it. They're like, yeah, this is ridiculous. This is a bridge.
I don't blame you. I can't imagine I can't imagine having to deal with that because what is going to get you in trouble? Like, where do you draw a line? Where, it's obviously gone too far. You can't even talk to your friends now because somebody might report you for it. It's a very concerning thing. And they said, meanwhile, there's people that are out there doing real crimes that they don't do anything to.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I don't blame them for being concerned and upset. It's stupid.
I do not either. So we're going to wrap this up.
Yes.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Guys, we'll talk later.
Bye.